just say that I do have experience as a programmer, as an art administrator with video. I lived in Seattle and was one of the founders of a festival, a international festival of films and videotapes by women. So my experience is I pretty deeply for 3 years watched women's work on video and presented it to the public. And one of the most difficult things, and I think that we'll talk about this a little later, is finding a venue for the art. Video art is kind of a strange animal in our society, and there's distribution networks are kind of sparse, and there's the big television industry, and then there's everything else we're struggling to do, which access falls into that, but wonderfully has the connection to community, and that makes a big difference. So one more thing I'd like to say to you this morning is, as audience, that it's your challenge is to look openly at these videotapes that we'll see this morning, and try to look at them as art, instead of what we're more accustomed to in television viewing, which is either information gathering, passive consumption, entertainment, and whatnot. It's a complicated thing, I think, looking at video art, because television means so many other things to us besides an aesthetic experience. We generally go to museums or galleries for that. And so looking into the TV screen doesn't exactly usually inspire that same contemplative, how am I feeling, what am I thinking kind of experience. But if you kind of can adopt that approach this morning, it would help so that we can respond to the work, and let the artists know what we think and feel about their tapes as we view or after we view them. So what we'll do this morning is look at a tape by each of these three artists. On your left is Rick Phillips, who lives here in Missoula, is a video artist who has a background in visual art. He'll present a tape 13 minutes in length, which contains 6 short pieces, and he'll introduce that tape to you. Next to Rick is Patty Leahy, who lives in Gresham, Oregon, and works in an access facility there. After graduating from Mount Hood Community College in Gresham, from a community access television program, which Patty says is the only one like it in the country, in the college setting. So that's interesting. She'll present a tape of 10 minutes in length, and which is made up of clips, short clips. And next to Patty is Paul Hart, who has recently returned to Missoula after completing his MFA at Temple University in Philadelphia. And he'll show a tape which was shot in Montana but edited in Philadelphia, which is 9 minutes in length. So first I'd like to introduce Rick Phillips.
Well, since my tape's so much longer than the other ones and I kind of talk slow, I guess I'll just briefly point out a quality in the tape I'm about to show you that was the reason I chose these pieces. There will be 6 of them. Most of them are about two minutes long or so. And as Laura said, I was trained as a traditional artist. By that basically mean painting, sculpture, and drawing. And that has influenced my work quite a bit. I've been working in this medium for about 6 years now in collaboration with another traditionally trained visual artist named Joel Baird. And the collaboration under any any condition is sort of difficult, but we seem to be able to work fairly well together. Uh, the pieces I am going to show, I guess I can speak for in terms of art direction, since I was responsible in the collaborative mode on that. The video medium is a lot more difficult to just it's so much more complicated than simply painting a picture. You've got equipment to pack around and movement in the imagery. And one thing that's helped me in understanding my work is constantly bringing it back to the notions of traditional painting. There is a quality in painting that is given the term painterly. I don't know if you're familiar with it, but basically what that means is that a painter will allow the paint to be paint, to have a paint-like quality, as well as define and express whatever it is the painter wishes to express. And I've tried to find a video equivalent of that to more or less allow the video medium to be just video. So in the work you're about to see, there will be a lot of things. I don't know if any of you own VCRs or whatever. You will recognize as being aspects of like what will happen when you're looking for a certain section and you hit fast forward search, and I believe one of them even has some of those rainbow bars that are practically non-existent now thanks to flying erase heads. Okay, I guess I'll go ahead and start it.
Perfect when we tested it out 5 minutes ago.
Okay. I'm really at a loss right now because I don't know what we were just talking about, but I've been interested in, let's say, the artistic aspects of video for maybe the last 5 or 6 years, something like that. And most of my work lately is involved somehow using video and manipulating the images somehow electronically. It's so easy to do once you have your picture encoded as a electrical signal. And there's a lot of equipment out these days that lets you play with colors and shapes and the way things are put together. So I've been just kind of playing with that stuff. In terms of cable access, it's like Laura was saying, it's kind of hard to find a place to show this kind of work where it will be seen by people. And I guess I'm working with cable access now because I like at least to have the possibility of somebody seeing the work. There's no guarantee that there's an audience out there, and that's kind of scary. I sort of think of it as like, putting the proverbial message in a bottle and throwing it out of the ocean. Maybe somebody will be tuned into the right channel at the right time and happen to see it. I think it's probably on us as the creators to promote our work better. When people look in the TV schedule, they might see the title of the piece, but they don't know what it is. They're probably not looking for it when they tune in. We have 30 other channels to compete with out there. So maybe there's some way to work with people like Laura or the local newspapers to make people at least more aware work we're doing, there's kind of a dilemma here because I'm not sure whether the work we're doing is something that would play well on a mass channel. If we could play on commercial television, hold an audience, or if it's so specialized that only a few people are interested. So we're in a position as artists to say, well, should I try to appeal to a greater audience with my work? Should I just do what I want to do and whoever watches it watches it? Are we leaving this machine hooked up now?
Yeah, let's do that for you.
Okay.
Don't unplug you too.
You better see it. This piece I'm going to show you was something I shot in Bozeman a couple of years ago. And the footage had been kind of sitting around in my shelf. I was wondering what I can do with it. And there are certain qualities of it that I liked. There were other things about it I just wasn't happy with. It just didn't seem to hold together. I couldn't think of a concept to hold it together. So just through playing with it over and over in different sorts of ways, looking at it, slow motion and doing some image processing and stuff, I started to see the qualities that I liked being preserved and the things that were distracting being lost to the point where I was getting to be more satisfied with the image. And I thought of ways that the imagery sort of connected with itself and formed kind of a coherent statement. Well, as I was saying, it took a couple of years to get to that point. And then I started playing with sound, and sound started to fall together too. So it was almost like all this imagery and sound started floating around somewhere, and they one by one started to coalesce into something that had some clarity. So I'll show you this piece. It's called Ghost Dance. It was shot in Bozeman, the rodeo. So it's kind of a post-industrial rodeo. Let's people here are producers and artists versus the administrators and coordinators. Okay, so those are you. The toaster sells, the computer with the toaster board sells for less than $10,000, which is a big advance over what would traditionally cost to do this. I was talking to Randy about doing more artistic works with cable access, and I think it'll require a small investment in equipment, something like this video toaster anyway, so people are able to take a little more control of the image. Most of our work now with just cameras and editors is very realistic, and it sort of follows within, well, most cable access, I guess, has been documentary or some kind of realistic exploration of the world. And if people are going to be able to, as artists, control the image more, they'll need to have some few basic tools to do some manipulation. As I say, that's getting to be cheaper like everything else. Do you have any questions about this piece or?
What were you using on your soundtrack besides the train yard?
All the sounds were taken from sound effects CDs, and to me it sort of fit with the aesthetic of the piece, which is kind of addressing industrialization, mechanization. So for me, rather than using those natural sounds, I try to create something that's very fabricated.
How'd you get the slow motion?
That was done, well, again, we're sort of out of community access, but I had access to a 1-inch machine. Ran through all the 1-inch and transferred it back to slow motion. People can go outside the facilities at the community access station itself, and often, well, sometimes you'll find friendly commercial broadcasters or public television stations where this was done. Or maybe even independents who will let you use their equipment for certain special uses that they don't ordinarily do, just because they want to support your work, or because they want to see what can be done with their equipment. And often we'll want to do things that they've never tried before. And like I was just back here talking to these guys and saying, well, I've never seen that technique used in a commercial before, so maybe they want to explore the medium for possible other uses. Video art's traditionally been the avant-garde, cutting edge of all the television media anyway. And we'll do things that don't require a lot of commercial risk because our budgets are low and we don't have 10 million people in the audience expecting a certain thing. So we can try things that aren't being done on broadcast television. It's an advantage, I think, for us.
What do you think of the locomotive and the trains putting it together?
Well, again, at the rodeo, one thing that struck me was just how ritualized it was and how, in a way, mechanical it was. Because I've been to several rodeos, and there's always a certain sequence of events. It's usually the women that do their thing first with the barrel races and calf roping, and then the men come out and do their bull riding and bronco breaking, that kind of stuff. And it seemed like there was something about the structure of a rodeo that was similar to what Henry Ford was doing with manufacturing automobiles or something. It's sort of like we were adopting this the paradigm from industry into something kind of a public performance. And also I was thinking of the Wild West and how that sort of has disappeared. And to me, the locomotive is associated with that, the coming of the steam engine and the changes that brought about.
I liked the piece a lot, very much, but what you're just saying did not come through to me in the piece at all, anything mechanistic at all.
Yeah.
The locomotive sounds didn't bother me. It seems, there's something about just sort of a raw power, the more power of the locomotive. But, it fit well. I could imagine other kinds of comparable rhythmic sounds, including drumming type sounds fitting. But it almost seems to me like your perception of the whole rodeo experience and all your footage and having been at the rodeo is one thing, but your images were all close-ups, and I've been to rodeos, and of course, everybody knows something about rodeos because they're in the movies so often. And so you know what those images are. You can recognize them as being the riders and the horses and the bulls, which is one thing I like about it, that on the one hand you recognize the image, and on the other hand you're aware of the processing of the image that you've done. And what came through to me was a very raw, very organic, I mean, a powerful and very organic, physical, yeah, exactly, man, animal, almost erotic in a way that I really liked, that you managed to screen out all of the extraneous stuff and just focus in on the raw power of the experience of the man and this physical challenge.
I think there are a lot of ways of seeing it, and I think it's okay. I mean, I'm personally biased against over-determining the viewer's experience. I think that's what television tries to do. Again, that's something that we can try to experiment and look for alternatives in our kind of medium, in this cable access medium. Leave it open. And so you might see something and you might see something else. I think that's great. You know, every time I show it, I get different responses to it. And there are people who have seen it 3 or 4 times whose experience changes of it, and I think that's okay too. I've seen it probably 50 times, and you know,
Becomes a
it's
different
different
journey.
to me. Yeah.
Any other responses before we move on? We have to sort of move
Well,
along.
that's what art is all about, is something different to everybody.
I thought it was
Let's
real
hope.
cohesive. I mean, I was kind of, it's that it was, without having an overt storyline kind of thing, it was really worked well together, that it really had its own flow, its own life, kind of like what you said, that it was that spiral of how you made it, how it finally came down into that few minutes that came across.
Are you aware of the, are you aware of the ghost dance in the Plains Indians?
Sure, yeah, that was the reason I titled it that way, and again, it's like another perhaps meaning for it. It gets pretty involved when you start getting into that, but I think one thing I'm trying to do with my work generally is create rituals that are like visual rituals. And I think of this maybe ideally as being some kind of something like a ghost dance itself. So I'm still working, I'm still sort of finding my way through this question.
Thanks, Paul.
Sure.
Patty, Leighton. I'm going to stand behind here because I normally get pretty nervous speaking for the crowds and having all these faces look at me, so I am going to read off of my paper here. I'll go through it real quick. I am going to speak from another approach, and that is from the approach of someone that really doesn't know that much about the more advanced systems of cameras and editing. I guess you could call it a more practical approach. There are a lot of creative people who would like to practice in the area of video art, but may feel intimidated by all the sophisticated equipment that they think may be needed to produce their programs, especially if they don't know anything about television production. That happens a lot in Access. A lot of people just come in and just basically just learn how to touch go on the camera and then take off and do things. So speaking from my own experiences and the clips I'm going to show, one can take out the simplest forms of camera equipment and turn it into a very nice program to begin with.
I'm not going to try to cover the whole field of video art. It's a very vague field. It's very open, and it's, you know, it's up to each person's interpretation. It's a grab bag of techniques, and I'd like to share some of my own ideas that have been useful to me in developing my own style. All these clips that you'll see, 2 of them are mine, 1 is somebody else's. They were all done on the AG 460 camcorder, which is very comparable to your home camera. You go out, you put it on your shoulder, and you shoot, you know, Thanksgiving, or you know, shoot going to the fair. But it's done some very good stuff for me, and I've had some very good comments on what I've done with it. Okay, I'm going to show the first one. Basically, I'm going to show you what works for me and what doesn't work for me. The first thing I'm going to show is what does not work for me, and I've seen this a lot. Not on commercial TV, but I've seen it a lot on cable access stations, and it just doesn't work for me. I call this the postcard look. Trigger zoom happy. Trigger zoom happy. I don't see anything here. There's nothing that's visually stimulating to me. I think it stays on shots way too long. When it does zoom out, it's not motivated. It doesn't really start with something that we'd want to see go on and see something else. It doesn't give me any type of revelation of where it came from. Like I said, it stays on shots too long. I like Pat Metheny, but even with this, I don't know. But I see this a lot. And maybe you have too. Zoom. A weed. Okay. All right. Okay. This next clip I did in the winter. It took me about 4 hours to go out and shoot. I used the AG 460. I came back and edited it. It took me about 6 hours to edit. It was cuts only. I did no dissolves. Nothing fancy. And it did, I wasn't going to say this because I wanted to sound like I was boasting, but it did give me the award underneath the video art category in the hometown. And it took basically about 10 hours to do on the AG 460. 7 or 8 points that were real important to me that I consider when I do go out and shoot, and I hope maybe you can consider these and apply them to yourself, to your art. One of them is that when I do go out and shoot, I do keep editing in mind. It can be discouraging when you sit down and you script from your logs and you come back and you find out that as you do your scripting, that you have a medium shot of something, but you didn't get a close-up. So, a close-up would have come in so well after something that you just shot, before. So, cover all your bases when you go out and shoot. Use all the different angles. Use close-up, medium shot, wide shot, so that when you come back, you have all these options that you can choose from. So, keep editing in mind. 2, get close. That is more important to me than anything else. Fall in love with your subject, study every detail, discover those unseen compositions within a composition. Look for designs and patterns. You might want to study photographs of good photographers and their styles of compositions. Don't just get what you see as a first impression and then take it and then leave. Get very close and see what you can get. Study your subject and take time to find those things that the human eye usually doesn't catch at first glance. Number 3, use the camera's capabilities and don't let it inhibit you. Get used to using the manual settings and play with it. By working in manual settings, the opportunity for creative control is increased. Number 4, keep your finger off the zoom control. Please. It's too easy to get into the habit of using, and zooms can be very tiresome and nauseating, especially when there's no motivation. Always have a good reason to zoom. 5, have an element of surprise. Show a piece of your subject of what people don't usually see or consider. You don't have to, when you go up to a subject, you don't have to show the entire subject. Just show a piece of it and show them that there is a different way of looking at things. Maybe something that's even unrecognizable. 6, always consider the natural light around you, and that's just as important to me as getting close to something. Light continually paints subjects different colors throughout the day. When I move from one subject to another, I always re-white balance with the AG460. If I go from one place to another, I just real quick, just push the button again. Because light is changing, and then when I move, it's just different. I might be in a shadow. So it's always good to re-white balance. See how things catch light. Watch for contrast and shadows. Study reflections and use them to create images that distort or beautify something structured, and use these things to your advantage. A subject can look very different just stepping a few feet away because of the light and your position. Number 7, be sensitive to motion within your frame. Going back to light, see how it dances on the water or glimpses at you when leaves blow in the wind. Study the patterns of water flow, like on this last shot that you saw. If people walk by this all the time, it's like, I don't really think they catch it, because I don't see it on TV. But I thought it was real interesting to me, and I've had good comments on it, but it's something that I didn't create, I just caught it. If possible, keep the soundtrack in mind. When I do drive around, if I'm going to put my video to music, I put my music in the car and listen to it. And over and over again. And then when I go out and I see something, it just kind of clicks, and it just helps sort of get the rhythm going. This last clip I'll show real quick. This was real fun. I use the same type of technique, but it's in the city, so it's a lot faster paced. shot too long. You want to chew it just until they recognize it and then get out of there. This is what I call a motivated zoom. Thank you. Just one more thing. I am a playback operator at my facility, and these are considered fillers or shorts. And I do the scheduling often, and to round up a program's going to start on the half hour or the hour. To round it up, we do use a lot of fillers and shorts. So you might want to consider, and they're played a lot. So you might want to consider, using these as fillers and shorts. And if you go out and you just have a whole bunch of footage and it's all real artsy to you, maybe break it up into more than one filler. And when you edit, don't stay on your shot too long. I just get so tired of it. But that's it.
Any questions or comments for Patty?
It was beautiful, wonderful. I just loved it, and you've inspired me.
And this was all done in AG 460.
Yeah, you've really inspired me because for so long there've been new technical developments that artists have latched onto. Well, and the cutting edge of, as was pointed out, the cutting edge of many things that are now being used in commercials and so forth were, technical development combined with the skill of an artist combined, and yet that whole thing, not to put it down, has sort of reached a saturation point where being reminded that you can just do it all without any special effects and
Yeah.
still have something that exquisite. I
Yeah.
loved it. You've inspired me to go out and do the same kind of
I do like these special effects. I just don't know how to do them.
Yeah.
Yet. So I will. But meanwhile, I can still do this. So.
It's been a great
Need a
contrast so
toaster.
far, actually.
Keep your eye as good
Thank
as
you,
it is.
Patty.
Yeah.
Just enough time left for Rick. Phillips tape, so we need to make the switch.
Yeah.
We need to make the switch to SVHS.